Good afternoon, New Mexico Tech, and welcome to the 2026 Student Government Association Presidential and Vice Presidential Debates. Tonight, moderating our debates will be SGA Chief Justice Aurelia Vargas. Thank you so much, Aurelia.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Before we get into the presidential debate with Lila here, just a few announcements. We have some changes from last year's election that I wanted everyone to know about before we get into it. First of all, election will be sent out right after the debate, right after the vice presidential debate. Secondly, you will not be able to change your votes once it's submitted. So once it's there, it's final, which is why it's going out afterwards. And then additionally, I know we had some issues with this last year. Nobody's going to be able to see who you voted for. I'm the only one who has access to that. Not my business. I don't care. None of the candidates are going to see who voted for who. So with that, it's all secure. We're ready to get into it. Welcome, Lila. Thank you so much for being here.
All right, thank you.
Just can you give us a quick rundown, quick bio, who you are, what you do, why you're in the SGA, what's your major? Talk about yourself.
Hi, I'm Lila. I am running for the SGA president. I am currently the vice president of the SGA, and I have been in the SGA for about 3 years. I worked in the executive branch for the first 2 years, and this is my first year being in the legislative branch. I'm really excited to try to go back to my roots and work in the executive branch. I am a sophomore. I am majoring in mechanical engineering and math, and I'm also very athletic. I am one of the captains on the women's rugby team, and I am the goalkeeper on the women's soccer team.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And if you'll notice, we only have one candidate for president, so she's going to be our president. But this is a formality. You get to know her. You get to know her even more. So first question, real question, why do you want this role?
I really want this role because I've seen firsthand what students struggle with at Tech. Whether Tech is already a really hard school, but sometimes the social aspect of it is also really hard. And so being isolated or not very social in that kind of spectrum and feeling like your voice is unheard, I really want to be there and be a person that I would look up to speak out for those concerns and make sure that the campus is somewhere for everyone to feel belonging. I'm a very big, my environment dictates my emotions during the day, and I just want to make sure that we have a very welcoming and opening campus for everyone to feel welcome and at home, because this is all our first times being out and being away from our parents and stuff like that you just want to make sure that everyone feels like, hey, this is my second home too.
Absolutely. That's a wonderful answer. Thank you. What have you learned in your previous SGA experiences, and what do you hope to bring forward with them?
I learned from my vice president position about student concerns and how many there are, and it's not just academic. It could be departments, it could be clubs, student resources, all of those things, and how to manage them and try to help them find a solution. I've gotten to talk with admin about some of the problems. I've gotten to talk about student organizations about some of the problems, and just working behind the doors about all of those situations I never knew about until I got into this role. We have a form on our website called Student Complaints and Concerns and Questions that we go over every other Wednesday at our Senate meetings, and it's really nice to just be able to read those and understand where other students are coming from, because some people's problems I might not ever face, and so it's a perspective opening to hear it from all of the other people. Also, from my executive side, learning what engages students to come to events and try to let them have fun on campus while still studying at a really hard school, and giving them the incentive to be like, hey, come to our casino night and stuff like that. Being the ad coordinator under SAB was trying to be eye-catching, making people interested to come to events, or being the project manager, what events are going to speak out to the students so that they come, because I feel like we are not like a normal university. We are very much a different kind of breed, I guess, of people who go to New Mexico Tech, and so just trying to find the cliques that will let people come in and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Thank you. With everything you've done, what is the thing you've done that you're the most proud of in the SGA?
I think the most thing I'm proud of is getting through those club packets. They are no joke. Making sure that all the clubs are turning in their forms and stuff like that. I just want to make sure that they know what the rules are and trying to make sure that we're all standing in line with each other and like have an understanding of one another. I feel like I've learned so many clubs that are on campus that I didn't know about before I became vice president, and getting to like know all the presidents, getting to know them, and like making sure that they feel like they are included on all the campus events and stuff like that. Like club fair is super fun, especially with the sports clubs. I know that I don't really see over the sports clubs, but it's really fun to see like our clubs and our sports clubs come together and just talk to all the new students or students that didn't know about their club before. I think that's just the connectivity and like the knowing so much about that is my biggest accomplishment.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you. And then if it's a different answer, what is your favorite part about your job?
My favorite part about being the vice president, I would say, is the connections I get to make. A lot of the students come to my office hours and we get to talk and like debrief about things and stuff like that. I love running Senate meetings and talking to my senators. They're so cool. They all have different personalities and they all help us like come to conclusive conclusions within whatever we're voting on, whether we're talking about what's happening in departments, talking about a club, talking about money situations, like anything like that. It's so cool to see all the different perspectives that each one of my senators bring to the table, and like just get them to talk and stuff like that. I know sometimes our meetings go pretty long because my senators like to talk, but I don't know, I find so much joy in like having those meetings and getting to talk with everyone there.
It's wonderful. Thank you. Oh my gosh. So as far as I understand, you are very interested in being involved with the PR committee, right, at the beginning of the school year in August. So moving forward with that, how do you SGA has an image problem. How do you plan to take that prior interest into you with the presidential position and manage SGA image issues?
Of course. With being the president, I won't really see over the PR committee. It will be more with the vice president. So with whoever my lovely candidates are to become vice president, I would talk about, we have a quiz going out, a questionnaire going out. I think it's been out for a while, talking about how they rate different departments and different things given to the students, and the SGA is on there, and really hounding on what we're getting back and what people think about the SGA and seeing how we can help them fix that or help like understand where they are seeing that from. I just want to make sure that the student voices feel heard and understood. I know one of the biggest problems is that we feel like we hide things or like we keep things to ourselves. So making sure that our communication is very open and very much like accessible to everyone. Our website is sometimes hard to find on New Mexico Tech's page. So making sure that that's also open and just being aware of like all of those things. I also want to make sure that like our Instagram is like up to date and like popping off with all of the things that we're doing, any events that are happening, any announcements that we might have, stuff like that, and just making sure like the students hear about it and get to talk about it, and then they can bring their feedback back. All the Senate meetings are open to anyone to come, whoever would like to come and talk to us about any of their concerns. We also have the anonymous complaint and student concern form, which is really helpful and useful to people whenever they're putting in their concerns and they want to get it read or they want to hear about it. Just making sure that we talk about it in a constructive way and making sure that everyone feels respected and heard is just like the biggest thing I could think of just making sure that like we are very open. The only thing that sucks about that is we'll send out emails, and sometimes people get annoyed by emails, and so they'll unsubscribe from our email list, and so that would be the tricky part that we had to get around. But I think just starting with open communication would be the best.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you. Current president, Ella Hooks. So we've all been like right by her side, so to speak. I don't know what. We've all been in the same office. What would you say she has done well, as well as what has the executive branch done well this year?
Ella Hooks is one of my closest friends. I love her so much. I think she's been amazing this year, above and beyond of everything that she has her capabilities to. She helped with the presidential candidates for the university and just works above and beyond of whatever she works on. I feel like she's very open in her communication. Whenever I have had a problem, I go to her and I ask her how I should handle the situation. She's just a very professional person in the SGA. And whenever I think something that she did really well is, I don't know, I feel like her door is always open. And so it's back with that open communication. I feel like she is just a very open person, a very approachable person, very easy to talk to and like get behind and understand what her vision is and stand behind her and go with that vision. And so I think that's just something that she is very well at being and just the type of person she is. I think the executive branch did really well with their events this year. Our SAB and our project manager this year really just did really well this year, I would say. Was very open to all the students' opinions, was very helpful whenever someone wanted an event done. Casino night was very booming, I would say. A lot of participation, a lot of people got there right when it started, which was at 5. And so just seeing that and like seeing how great they're doing compared to like previous years, if like we had low attendance, I feel like this year we had really good attendance.
How do you think they did such a good job of like addressing the low attendance? Like what went into that?
I think their ad coordinator and the project manager this year, they very much were on emails and stuff like that. A lot of the prizes were enticing to tech students. Tech students love Legos, so handing out Legos is amazing. The Care Bear, those bears went out so fast because everyone wanted a bear on Valentine's Day. And then I know that they did a event where you had to really look at the posters to figure out the hidden message within the posters. And I think that's a really clever idea to make people be like, oh, I have to look at these posters to get a prize. But now that I'm actually looking at these posters, like, let me save the date on that one.
Yeah, nice. Taking all of that in, what are some of your biggest like goals? What do you want to achieve? What changes do you want to make in office?
My biggest goal is making sure that the campus feels inclusive and very welcoming. Like I said, I'm a very big, like, the environment is my mood and, like, my vibe. And so I have to make sure that everyone has different moods and everyone has different vibes. So just making sure that everyone feels like, oh, I can come here and, like, they'll be welcoming to me, I think is one of my biggest things. I want to make sure everyone feels heard, so making sure that we're on it with those student concerns, with those student complaints and stuff like that, and making sure that like, hey, we're here to support you. I don't ever want you to feel not supported, and standing behind that. Doing some of the hard conversations we're going to have with admin if we stand behind students, and I'm okay with making those conversations. I have worked in admin for a little while. I worked in I'm working in admissions. Admissions is really nice. I think we're going really high with the not with the retention rate, with the incoming freshmen who are coming in. I'm really excited to see that. But I've worked in Res Life, and we get a lot of complaints with Res Life, and so making sure that we can have those difficult conversations and knowing that someone who's been through that experience can help you and understand those experiences. I'm so sorry. You said my biggest goals and...
what do you want to do in office?
Another thing I want to do in office is I want to make sure the SGA office is very inviting and, like, feels welcoming. So probably cleaning out the office this summer and just making sure that, like, we have tables and, like, chairs to sit. So if people want to come in and just hang out, you don't have to come with a concern. You don't have to come with a complaint. You can just literally come in, sit in the SGA office. If you need to do homework, you're more than welcome. We love company. I have in my office a little candy dish in my vice president office if you ever just want to come for candy and just talk, figure out things about the SGA. If you're interested in running, you're interested in getting a job, just want to make sure it feels very inviting and very inviting. And I just want to make sure that everyone feels welcomed. I guess is like my biggest goal. I also want to fix our our image issue. I want to make sure that everyone understands that the SGA is not to work against them, it's to work for them. And I want our Instagram to be up to date with everything. So, because a lot of people don't look at posters, a lot of people look at reels or look at just social media in general. So, I'd hope that we get our social media up. We start partnering with K-Tech more whenever they have broadcasts to make sure that like everyone is informed and everyone is getting the information from all sides of the spectrum.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. And then just got a friendly reminder that if you're in the chat, you can ask questions. We're a little like down to the end here, so now's a great time to get in some presidential questions if you have any right now. And in the meantime, before those start coming in, so as president, you're going to be in charge of hiring a lot of people. What do you think is important in looking for candidates? And you just mentioned like wanting to create, you know, a very friendly SGA office. In terms of your hiring, like what else where are you looking for in?
I'm looking for all different perspectives. I want all kinds of people with different opinions, different perspectives, anything that if you don't like the SGA, come apply, because I want to know if you want to fix it or if you want to change whatever we're doing. If you do love the SGA and you want to be a part of it, come apply. I want to hire anyone who wants to work in the SGA. I like the way Ella did it last year. She had this form of like these questions and how they were responding to them, how they were answering to them, and making sure that like it aligns with our mission. And my mission right now is just to make sure that everyone feels included and everyone feels welcomed in our space. And so I'm so excited for whoever applies for any of the positions. I want to hear what you have planned for the future. I want to hear how you think you could work well in this program. It is welcome to everyone, and I just hope so many people apply. I want to make sure that everyone feels heard. We get a lot of complaints that a lot of the people in the SGA are just friends with each other, and I want to go out of there. I want to go out of that branch and like hire people who I maybe not see every day, or people that I didn't even know were on this campus, and just like be able to say that like the SGA is very like a group that you'll never see together. And I think that is my biggest plan. And then maybe we could become friends after you get hired, you know? That wouldn't hurt.
I like that a lot. And then before we get into this question, I'll also add that everyone in the I'm a hired position. Everyone in the SGA, we got a bunch of people graduating. Everyone is super open to like talking about their positions, especially the people who are not going to be like returning for them. So always reach out, because hopefully this makes your life easier whenever you're trying to hire. Our current question in the chat, the SGA president has a unique ability to represent students in many different capacities. For instance, Ella is a member of the presidential search. How do you tend to represent students here?
So as the president, you get to go to the Board of Regents. Meetings, and you're a student representative there. We also already have a student representative. It's our student regent, Cody. He is really good at representing. I would go to meetings with Cody because we'd both be representing of the students. We talk about SGA problems there. We get to hear firsthand about what's happening in admin, what they plan to do in the future, or what they're doing right now. And so just making sure that I'm an advocate for those kind of concerns. I know that the quiz that Ella is doing right now about the different departments and stuff like that, the Boards of Regents is very interested in and wants to hear the feedback about how people rate Res Life, how people rate financial aid, how people rate the SGA, and just making sure that we're being very honest with our results and making sure that we don't put any of our opinion in it. I want to make sure that everyone feels heard. I would love to do more Q&As like that next year to make sure that everyone feels like we're improving, or maybe we're not improving, and just making sure that if we're not improving, what we can do to make sure we are improving. I also she is on the president search member. She was asked to, and she said yes. I plan on, whenever anything is brought up into my attention when I become president, if anything is brought up of like, oh, we want a student perspective on this, to make sure that I volunteer and make sure that I get out that information, being like, hey, I'm on this. What do you want to see from it? What do you want to hear from it? Also, or talking about maybe having like meetings or like town halls, I think is what it's called, in the Fidel Atrium, to make sure that like if you didn't have time to come during my office hours, or if you didn't have time to come talk about something to one of the members in the SGA that we come and talk about it during the Fidel Atrium town halls, and just making sure that you feel that I am taking your message and going with it as much as I can.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Did you catch that message? Okay. Can you bring that message back?
Yeah.
So the next question on the docket, what's going on with Pater, and do you plan to bring it back?
The plan that's going with Pater is that New Mexico Tech, the SGA, is having a pay cut. We're having a pay cut just because the amount of students that we got this year was a little bit less than we were expecting. And so whenever we look at student fees, we have to look at whatever it dropped to. So we're getting a pay cut of, I want to say, about $20,000 to $10,000 next year to make sure, just a little bit of a pay cut. And so the plan that we have is just so that people who are applying for the role and applying to get a job within within the SGA gets paid. We are going to, I think, cut out Pater and not bring it back, just because for the past 2 years it's been kind of on the rocks. And if we were going to make a cut of anything, we don't want to cut a position, we don't want to cut anyone's pay. So the next logistical approach to that is to cut Pater.
Understood. Thank you.
Of course.
Thanks for getting into that. Another question here. More of that. How has the SGA budget been affected by limited enrollment? How do you plan to work with a limited budget, and what factors will you decide based on how much funding a club gets?
So basically, we do not want to cut anything in the club range. We don't want to cut anything in the club budget range. We still want to have that set amount that we always had for Senate meetings. We want to have that set amount that we always try to divide between clubs whenever they turn in their club packets. The reason that we're taking another cut is because of the enrollment. But I've been told from admissions that our enrollment is going to get boosted next year. The only problem with that is we go off what happens this current year, and since enrollment was down this current year, we're going to budget as if it was how much money we would get next year, even if the enrollment is higher. That is why we are deciding to take out Pater, just because we feel we don't want to take out any club budgets, any club money that we could offer, because the SGA serves the students, and we feel that that would be a disadvantage and a absolute letdown to some of the students here who really come to the SGA meetings asking for money for traveling and stuff like that. And so we never want to touch that funding. We never want to cut that funding. We don't want to cut salaries for positions that we're hiring in the SGA. And so the most logistical thing that we came down to was just getting rid of Pater, to make sure that clubs and student wages are not affected.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you. If we don't have any more questions on the floor, do you want to give us some closing remarks? Just wrap it.
I'm super excited. I hope you guys still do vote for me when you get the chance to. I want to be your president next year, and I hope that I have a lot of confidence in coming into this and making sure that I will be a good representative for you, and I hope that you will vote for me and put the confidence in, have confidence in me as well. I am excited for next year. I fear that I have met so many people by being a part of other clubs as well, and being where my job is. I'm just really excited for next year, and I hope that you are excited for next year as well.
That's so awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We will be back for the vice presidential debate. I don't know when. Short intermission, and then we'll be back for the vice presidential debate. 3 candidates, so stay tuned. Thank you so much. Welcome back. I've moved, and I'm now here with the vice presidential candidates. We have 3 of them, so we're going to be doing a timed debate session this time. Starting with Digo, and then we're going to go rotate around. Please give a 1-minute, tell us about yourself. We'll get into your qualifications in a minute, so just all talk about yourself.
Hello, my name is Digo Duran. I am a second-year electrical engineering student here at Tech. This year I worked as the SGA secretary. It's kind of what has been taking up a lot of my time. Going to classes and working on research. Once again, my name is Digo Duran. It's nice to meet you.
Thank you so much. I'll move on to Luke.
Hi, I'm Luca Durete. I am a chemical engineering freshman. Um, I spend a lot of my time. Right now, I'm a senator, and I like to go to a lot of activities around campus. I think I've been to like almost every T Club meeting, so that's pretty awesome. Again, I'm Luca Durete, and thanks for having me.
You can go ahead, Elijah.
I'm Elijah Rivera. I'm also a chemical engineering student here. This is also my first year. God, sorry. I'm also a senator for the SGA. I've been a senator for 2 semesters. I'm also the elect pro tempore for the SGA. And that's all.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yeah, you don't have to go the full minute. You just have a minute total.
Okay.
Starting with Luke on this one. Can you go over your SGA background and what makes you, taking that background, what makes you want to go into this role?
Yeah, so for the last 2 semesters here at Tech, I've been a senator on our Legislative Standards Committee. So the vice president role is in the legislative branch, and they is really like sort of leading the senators and guiding these meetings. So as a senator, I've been to every single meeting, and I've noticed a lot of like little problems that cause our meetings to run long, and I've heard a lot of student feedback about SGA's sort of public image issues. There's like concerns about various things, and I've heard a lot about that. And I think I think being the vice president is like something that allows you to like sort of address those issues in a larger fashion than I can as a senator. Because as a senator, it seems like sometimes there's like it's out of your hands. And you can like bring those concerns forward, and I think being a vice president allows you to actually do actionable
That is
things.
time. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Moving on to Elijah.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, that's go over your SGA background and what makes you. Let me not start your timer. What makes you want to go into this role given your SGA background?
I am a senator at the current moment. I have been for 2 semesters, like I said. I'm also the like pro tempore. And I would really like to get into the VP position because as a senator, I have seen and heard a lot of different things from the student body, a lot of concerns and comments that they have. And a lot of them being that like they feel like there's not really a strong community between the two, and that there could be a lot for better ways to go about things. And I feel like being VP, I could get myself more involved and more connected with everyone else when it comes to these type of issues, because as Luke did say, being a senator, you really don't have much control over things, but as VP, I would definitely have more power and options to go about things.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Digo.
Okay, so for the last 2 semesters, I've been serving as the SGA's secretary. I work directly under our VP for this semester, Lila. And I think I've gained a lot of experience in what she has to do on a day-to-day basis. At the Senate meetings, I have to take detailed notes that are then posted online on the NMT website. And I think I've just grown this attachment to the solving the issues on campus, and I had a lot of fun with it as secretary, and I feel like as vice president, I could take a lot more of an active role in the problem solving of a lot of that around campus. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. We're going to start with you this time. So as vice president, you're in overseeing the clubs.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to make sure that clubs are heard and recognized on campus?
I think one thing that we lacked in this year was face-to-face meeting. I think a lot of times when communicating with clubs, we would have email chains that were over 18 emails long, where we're trying to explain something, whether it be Tech Connect, we all know how confusing Tech Connect can be, or just other club processes that like me and Lila know what we're talking about, so we may use language that other people have no clue what we're talking about. So I think a lot more face-to-face conversation this year and really prioritizing office hours will help to get student concerns addressed like quickly and more smoothly.
Awesome. Thank you. Go ahead, Luke.
Yeah, very similar. I think a lot of the problems we have with clubs are around, communication between clubs. Sometimes there'll be club concerns and we don't hear them, and with just overall clarity. And I think especially like in those first couple of weeks where club packets haven't gone out and clubs are registering, I want to make sure that there's a lot more visibility about our club guidelines and our like how do you go about making a club? How do you go about logging your volunteer hours? And I think we already have some things, like we have some trainings, but I would love to make those more public and way more accessible. Multiple time slots or posters around campus that make these things easier to see.
Awesome, thank you.
I definitely do believe one-on-ones would be better when it comes to club stuff, because a lot of the times, as I've seen or heard, VP, we don't really get much insight of what the club meetings will really look like, or what they're really struggling or trying to ask or need with when it comes to their necessities. And I believe if there was more just one-on-one, not even with like the president, even showing up to like club meetings and just seeing how they run things and how things are going about, just to figure out like where there may be some confusion, where they may need some help, or even just offering like one-on-ones on creating clubs or the club packets and everything on Tech Connect, because I know that could be very confusing as well.
Awesome, thank you. We do have a question that was specifically asked to Luke, so we're gonna have you start and then you guys get to answer as well. It's not too super specific. The question is, what type of opportunities has the SGA provided you with?
Right. So the SGA, in terms of opportunities, I think. Sorry, I specifically, I've been able to connect with a lot more students and really hear a lot more problems. I think I've had a lot of times where I just like, I'll be sitting in Torres where I live, and students will come up to me and talk to me about like what sort of problems they have with res life or things like that, and I'll get to talk about like the SGA meetings to them, and I really enjoy that because I get to hear about people's problems and I get to talk about sort of what things we're doing and what things maybe we're not doing so like good, and I can get student feedback on that, and that's honestly my favorite opportunity that I've gotten. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. And thank you for the question. And just as a reminder, we're still taking them, so thank you so much. And then Elijah, you can go ahead and ask the same or answer the same question.
I do believe being being part of the SGA has allowed me to build a lot more connections with people, and slowly help me get out of my awkwardness, nervous shell as well. It does help a lot with like showing, or at least it showed me a lot of what people are going through, or like things that we may not really have a full grasp about, and it honestly opened the opportunity for me to try understanding people a little better, and on a deeper level, because obviously we wouldn't fully know what's like going on.
Absolutely, yeah. You go ahead.
I think the SGA has brought me a lot more of like an insight on how the school works behind the curtain. I'm able to see how things get done, and also how like student processes are or how student concerns are actually processed. And I think it has given me more of a like, I've had a lot of experience in like how things actually are working on campus, and versus how they're presented on campus. Sorry, I'm getting lost in my words here. I think the SGA has brought me closer to the campus as a community, because I'm able to gather with a lot of students and kind of just share a common ground with how we're feeling, without it feeling like a complaint to like a school board. And I think that's really nice.
Awesome, thank you. Did I skip you going first?
I'm sorry?
Like, did I?
I think you skipped Eli, actually.
Oh, my bad. I apologize. You get first next one. This is another one from the chat. Do you have experience with coordinating events and or large numbers of people and moving parts? How will you make sure things go smoothly with event and club coordination?
I personally do not have a lot of experience when it comes to big events like that, but I know definitely there are people here within the SGA that can help me get a learning grasp on how to go about those type of events. I completely lost train of thought, sorry.
You're good. Do you want me to read it again?
Yes, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, it's about coordinating event with a large number of people and moving parts, and then how will you make sure things go smoothly with event and club coordination?
Definitely, for things to go smoothly when it comes to clubs and coordinating, is I think it's a lot of communication that's missing when it comes to a lot of these type of things, because there isn't a much advertisement, like we had said, when it comes to certain events or club like get-togethers, and it creates a lack of like insight of what there really is to do here at the school, and just overall maintaining a good conversation within everybody to make sure everything goes smoothly.
And that's time. Thank you. Next question. Who is next? Who's first? Thank you. I'm sorry. Digo, what appeals to you most about this role?
I
Did
think.
you answer that question?
No, I did not.
Can you answer that question, please?
Can
I'm
you repeat
sorry.
the question?
Yes, absolutely, I can. Sorry. Do you have experience with coordinating events and/or large numbers of people and moving parts? How will you make sure things go smoothly with event and club coordination?
Yeah, so I think the SGA has given me a lot of experience with coordinating events. I really enjoy the events that we throw as an SGA on campus, and some of the club events are really cool too. Like, I work a lot with SAB. I'm close friends with Gabriel Crispian and Morgan Lee on the SAB team. So I like to help out with their events when I can, and even when I can't help out with events, I like to go just be there. Like recently we had a tie-dye event that was really successful. The movie night was really fun. We have a lot of things like those, and I think the main thing that we struggle with in all of those events was, like they were talking about, getting the event actually out there so that people know about it. I think what we can do more is just sending out more emails earlier, which I know is annoying that we're sending out so many emails, but I think it's important to keep people informed about the events. And yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Luke, you need to answer that one, right?
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Thank you so much. You can start whenever you want.
So in my current role as the SGA, I haven't had much, or as a senator in the SGA, I haven't had much experience making events. However, in high school, I also was in my student government for 3 years, and I was the chairman of the committees. It was a bit of a different system than here, but a lot of the events would have to go through. We had these things called like fun nights that we do very frequently, and those have a ton of moving parts and a lot of different people, and we had to get a lot of different things from a lot of different places. And for those, really, it's like, how do we getting volunteers? That's something that I think our SGA struggles with, because we're not as clear about that. So it's a lot of boots on the ground, a lot of communication, and especially, and this is, I think, one of the most important parts of making sure events go well, is when you get down to like the day of, you gotta like being on the front line and making sure that we're going around and solving the problems before we get to the ends, and I think that's the most important. Right?
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. With that, we are going to start with Digo for this one.
All right.
Right?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. What appeals to you most about this role?
I think what appeals most to me about this role is just it's basically what I was doing this year, but I get to be more in touch with everything. My job as secretary was kind of just taking the fall off from Lila and working on whatever she couldn't get to, or just kind of helping her with tasks she needed. And I think being active in that role as vice president myself will allow me to be more connected with what I need to do, and giving myself a job whenever I need to do things, and setting up my own timeline to be able to successfully pull off being the vice president of the SGA.
Absolutely. Thank you. Go ahead.
So for me, I think I have a very like engineering mindset, and so I see a lot of problems in my current roles and like just being around campus as a student. And for me, what appeals about being the vice president is that you're able to do a lot more in terms of solving those problems. And I see them, and I'm thinking in my brain, and I come up with all these ideas on how we might solve them. But I feel like sometimes it's like I'll be talking to Aurelia or Lila, and it'll be like, well, we can push it up the chain of command, but there's only so much you can do. And so I think as a vice president, there's a lot more leeway in solving those problems.
Awesome. Thank you. Go for it.
Vice President, sorry, this appeals to me the most because definitely the deeper connection I can make with everyone, and the more understanding I could get of what the community is here at Tech, and to hopefully build a deeper connection with not everyone, but within the student body, And then, sorry.
You're good.
Also, what else appeals to me is being able to be the voice for a lot of students here, because I know it's very hard to bring your own voice up and talk out loud. And I would want to be someone that they can trust to let me voice their concerns and comments for them, in hopes that I'm able to pursue a resolvement to whatever they're seeking.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. We have another question from the chat. This is a really good one. Thank you. I appreciate it. We're going to start with Luke on this one. What kind of experience do you have handling student concerns?
Right. So, handling student concerns, in my current role, I'm in the Legislative Standards Committee. So one of the things that we do is we're coming over our Constitution and seeing how we are solving that. So, one thing that we've been talking about this year, and we're still working on it, but it is there are some concerns about essentially bias in the student government. And so one thing that I've been working on is how are we kind of addressing that? And also in high school, my committees and things, we would have feedback polls, and they were very accessible, and they were every week, and we'd go over them, and we would comb through, and we'd go, okay, we have student concerns about, for example, one of them was about fun nights were kind of like, they were pricey, and so we were talking about, okay, how can we make free events and also still make money for our students to spend on events and things.
Awesome. Thank you. Go ahead.
Could you repeat the question?
Of course. What kind of, I can say it right. What kind of experience do you have at handling student concerns?
As a senator, the most I've had with handling student concerns is really getting to hear about it and voicing what I would think on how to pursue these type of concerns, but also getting to vote on ways that overall the SGA wants to go about it. As a student, the way I've dealt with student concerns is I've definitely have talked to other peers out there, and they've given me their comments and complaints that they have. And I do bring it up to the other senators, and every once in a while I do bring it up to Vice President Lila. And overall, sorry, and overall just, yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Go for it.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Of course. What kind of experience do you have at handling student concerns?
Okay, so part of setting up for Senate meetings is actually printing out the student concerns for Lila to read while she's up there. So we kind of get to go over these concerns beforehand and talk about them with each other so that we can kind of like think about what's the best way to address this. And then it's also really helpful being able to talk about them in Senate meetings and hear what the senators have to say about it and hear just kind of different insights on how what the issue is. And I think our current system is nice with people being able to submit them online because it's easy, accessible, and you can choose to be anonymous if you wouldn't like to hurt anyone's feelings or if you'd just like to stay anonymous. But I do think that it needs to have more advertisement on where that is, because I think a lot of people struggle with finding the questions and concerns form to be able to turn things in. But yeah, I think we have a good system going, but it just needs to be more implemented.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. And then with that, who did I end on? Is that good?
I started on this one.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So, guys, I'm sorry. So starting with Elijah then.
Yeah.
Okay. We have another one from the chat. They're on fire. What will be your process and priorities when hiring a secretary, and how will you remain unbiased?
I'll definitely open up the forum to who would want to be and want to take on that position of secretary, because I know definitely taking on that position will be the step in the door in getting into the SJ and higher positions if that's what you want. And to be unbiased with it, I wouldn't really look at the names. I would more look at the qualifications and the reasons why you want to join and be the secretary. Sorry. And not make calls based off familiarity and all that, but more be inclusive to other ideas that are out there and perspectives.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. Go ahead.
I think while selecting a secretary, I do agree that a lot of the SGA can seem sometimes to be like kind of cliquey with the kind of people that are in it and how a lot of us are friends with each other already. I think part of that comes with us already having a small campus and already having a smaller community. But I think when choosing my secretary, I would like to choose someone that I am acquainted with, but not always with, because I think it kind of reminds me of choosing a roommate, where this is going to be a position where I'm going to have to ask them to do things, and I'm going to have to make sure that I know them enough to where I know that they are a reliable person, not only their qualifications, because I think you can write anything that you've done down on paper and it might look awesome, but I kind of want to know what kind of person you are with work ethic, and I think that'll be what I'm looking at most when it comes to choosing who will be my secretary, if I am to be chosen to be vice.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Go for it.
I think it's really easy to just go and be like, oh, I'm gonna hire my friend for secretary, especially because I think a lot of people might start thinking, oh, I already work well with them. Frankly, I think that does contribute to a lot of the bias in it, because we're just inviting our friends to be part of it and higher roles. I think for me, the sort of things that I value in a secretary are, I guess, like precision, and sort of like precision and attention to detail. Like I'm really bad. I kind of talk a lot, and things will be messy. And I think a lot of my friends are the same way, so they're not even helpful for that role. But I think to eliminate bias and how we're looking for those is to sort of like, honestly, I was thinking like a writing, like a writing portfolio per se, or like an example like of written work, because I think that's shows that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I will add to this. I know we get this a lot. The best way you can prevent the SGA from only being friends with each other is if you apply to begin with, because we tend to recruit our friends because we're like, oh my gosh, nobody's applied for this. I don't have enough senators. And then we tell our friends to, so if you get on the ball, then we will, oh my gosh, have fewer issues like that. So very, very much you will, fingers crossed, if I'm rehired, be seeing my election emails in the fall again. Next question, starting with Digo. Yes. How will you handle conflicts with clubs, and how would you remain unbiased when handling conflicts?
Okay. When handling conflicts with clubs, I had talked about this earlier, but I think a lot of it I would love to be face to face. If we have an issue with a club, I would like a few representatives from the club to just come to my office hours so we can have a face to face conversation and settle things there. I think that a lot of the club issues come from miscommunication and things like that, and it's just, I think it would clear things up a lot more. And then what was the second part of that question?
Remaining unbiased when handling conflicts.
I think in that sense, just making sure to look at policy over morality, I guess, which sounds a little odd, but I think treating every club with the same jurisdiction, no matter what I think of their contents, is important to me.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you. Go for it.
Right. So currently we do have a pretty strong system. We have the framework for a strong system, I think. So in terms of handling it with miscommunications with clubs and conflicts with clubs, I agree. A lot of times it is about miscommunication and how are we communicating that message effectively and in a way that makes sense, because I think a lot of times we get caught up in our own documents. And as for remaining unbiased, I think, first of all, making sure, like I said, I'm legislative standards, so we have the club handbook and making sure it's more accessible, and that when we're making decisions, we're really going off of that, and rather than that can't always cover every situation, but that's where we're interpreting it. And also, we also have another role, which actually Eli which is the presidential pro tempore, and so in cases where it's too biased, I can remove myself and the presidential pro tempore can do it.
Awesome, thank you. Go for it.
I would definitely, to resolve conflict within clubs, I would definitely like to, like Diego was saying, a lot of one-on-one, because it's a lot within communication for these type of things. Mm-hmm. But I also do believe that a lot of the conflict that comes within this is from a lot of decisions that we make as the SGA. And I would like to be more clear and visible with why we decide to go with those decisions that we did, because I know sometimes we do make hard calls and difficult choices, but it's not to deliberately go against that club. So I would definitely like to resolve it with talking with them, explaining to them why the reasons they are in the position they are now, and then also give them resolvement pathways that they can go about it.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. We are okay. I got a message from future president Lila asking me to explain what pro temp is. I don't know how to say it, so I abbreviate it because not a lot of people know what that is. Just for reference, Lila, our current VP is the chair of Senate sessions, and so if she has to be Ella, is how we refer to it. Like if the president is not available, VP has to step up to be president. And then if VP just isn't available, then the pro temp is the person who is nominated and then elected by the Senate at the beginning of the session. They are like pulled up and they chair the session and they take that role for the duration of the time that the vice president is not available. So y'all are happy with that answer? Sums it up? Okay, sweet. Thank you, Lila. We have another one from the chat. Also, I wanted to say I can't see the chat. I don't know who's writing anything. I get a Google Docs answer, so if I'm not reading what you put exactly, that's why. And I'm also not being weird. Like, I don't know who's saying anything. So if any, just for that, I have a blank screen. I have a Google Doc. Next question, starting with Luke. Everyone got to talk on that one. So next question from the chat. How would you navigate a situation requiring the disciplinary removal of a member?
I think we haven't had any cases like that so far, and I really hope we're not going to have any cases like that. But in the event that it does, first, I think, like I said, it's really, we have our kind of standards, and if somebody isn't meeting that standards, I think first, probably you give them a warning and time to change that, because I do think a lot of times we make mistakes, and and if there's anyway, and then if either those mistakes are too severe or they continue, the removal, it kind of, I think there's a legislative way that we have it in our constitution already, and I think really making sure we're following that to a T, we're dotting our I's, crossing our T's, so that we're being fair and that we're being effective and efficient. Sorry, not effective.
All good. Thank you so much. Go for it. Same question.
Being in the SGA for 2 semesters now, I would also say I haven't had to deal with having to relieve someone of their position yet, which hopefully, like Luke said, we won't have to go across, because definitely I believe all the senators are just in the way they are, and I have confidence in them. But if it ever does come down to the case where it has to be, where we have to relieve someone of their position, I would definitely want to follow with what we have as the rule book and as as the rule book basically, and always stick to that, because I feel like once we detour away from trying to find other ways to go about relieving them or avoiding to relieve them, then that's when it becomes very biased. So I would mostly just stick to what we already have set into motion.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Go for it.
I believe that part of the process for removal is bringing it up to the Senate, and I think that is a very important part of it. Just bringing up concerns of people not doing their jobs or not being able to do their jobs correctly to the entire Senate. I think that will help keep it unbiased. That way, it's not just like if we were thinking on the removal of a cabinet member and we only had the cabinet decide. I feel like that would be very unfair, and I feel like asking the entire Senate and just having a vote on it is the best option. And then I think it's important to separate your work life from personal life, and I think I'd have to do that, especially if there was a removal, because no matter what I think of a person in a social life, I have no idea what that person's work ethic is like, and that is important to me, especially when working with them.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We have another question from the chat. We're going to start with Elijah on this one. We had a lot of clubs on probation this year. How would you fix the process to ensure that fewer clubs end up on probation?
Well, I know a lot of clubs are on probation due to when it came to the Tech Connect and everything when it comes to the club forms and packets. And I know definitely it's just because there's a lot of confusion when it comes to when it comes to organizing and submitting forms for clubs, and I know definitely I would want to help make that more clear, like the process for that. I know we have these club meetings where all the club members come in and but like we tell them how to do these processes. But a lot of the time, sitting there in a presentation, it's not really like, it doesn't really click in. So I rather want to be one-on-one with each of the clubs, so then they know how to go about the processes, so they don't go back to that position of probation of what they were.
Awesome, thank you.
I think that ensuring clubs don't go into probation would look like getting more information out, like we had talked about, the Tech Connect being an issue. I think, again, in office talks would be very helpful, because a lot of times the issue is like, specifically this semester, we had issues with club packets where you have to go to like your homepage and click add group before you go to the form and add your group. And if you don't do that, it messes the whole thing up. And I think it's just a part of Tech Connect being the way it is. But I think a good remedy would be literally just having those one-on-one meetings, and also people showing up to the club meetings that we hold at the beginning of the semester, because those are very informational on club events for the whole entire year and how to make things run smoothly. This year we even had like screenshots in it to show you exactly what to do. But yeah, I think communication is the issue for the inactive clubs.
Awesome, thank you so much. Go for it.
Right. I think this is one of the largest issues on our campus right now. If I remember correctly, I think we had 11 clubs in probation and 4 clubs in bad standing, and 9 of those didn't resubmit for club packets, so they're inactive now. So this is really pretty awful, because clubs are one of the ways that we connect with students, and so Tech Connect becomes a large portion of it, and we need better training on how to use Tech Connect, because I mean, I know for me, I struggle with Tech Connect a lot in terms of submitting volunteer hours and things, and that training also needs to be better publicized and more accessible. So what that looks like probably is more slots, which will then make it to where you can have more one-on-one interactions for our training and like that stuff, and more posters.
Awesome, thank you so much. We have another one from the chat. I love the chat. Thank you, chat, making my life so easy, doing my job for me. Starting with Digo on this one. How will you use K-Tech as a resource for the SGA, and how will you support it?
I think that K-Tech has been majorly underused this year as a way of getting events out there. I think that we have been talking this whole time about how communication is a big issue, and I think that K-Tech's like radio broadcasts, like being able to play ads for events over the radio or over news broadcasts and things like that is a huge, huge advantage that we have not been taking advantage of at all. I think if you run a club, the SGA needs to get more involved in this as ourselves, but if you run a club, please go to K-Tech so they can advertise your things. I think that they will kind of not be a replacement for pay dirt, but a good remedy for us missing pay dirt, because we'll still be able to get student stories and experiences out there to the greater campus community.
Thank you so much. Go for it.
Yeah, K-Tech is really, really a strong resource. I mean, right now we're having our debates, and we're able to get like live feedback and conversations started. And I think, yeah, K-Tech finally has started to get like funding and is more connected with the SGA. We have a role now, the K-Tech coordinator. I think now that they're more grounded, we can definitely start moving into using them for a lot more things, like how do we get clubs involved. And even I think one thing that could help a lot is just like community sort of interactions with K-Tech, because K-Tech can be a very, I want to say fun thing, and a very interactive way to talk with students and get feedback from our student population, and even do some things like
No, that's
oh,
not
sorry.
me.
Sorry, an alarm just went off.
You're good.
And even just like have some sort of events that will make K-Tech more publicly known, so that people can know that, oh, I can find my events at K-Tech and things like that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Go for it.
I definitely believe we could use K-Tech to promote more of, like they said, the events that are happening, because definitely K-Tech was definitely one of the more sources I've used here at Tech to get more information out there, or not out there, but like see the information that's out there. I also believe that we could use K-Tech to voice some of the major complaints that the students have, to see how much more of the student body there is out there with the same issue or complaints. So then we can start getting more numbers in these type of situations, so we can pursue these concerns with more emphasis.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I also want to thank K-Tech. I think this is like the second time we've done a debate. I mean, like second year K-Tech's been back. So awesome. This is so sick that we can do this, and it's not just like, faceless or videoless people. We have another one from the chat, starting with Luke on this one. What did the current VP do well this year, and what would you improve on?
Right. I think the current VP really did well on Lila is great and sociable, and so she's very frequently talking to people. She's always out there. You'll see her around campus like all the time. She'll be sitting at a student government table, and she'll be handing out popcorn and things. And I think being on the front lines, that makes Lila not only approachable and like you can talk to her problems with that, but also more known, and like it helps with just our volunteer stuff. I think one thing that has been a struggle is our meetings tend to be a little bit unorganized because and a little bit less efficient because of that, because we kind of talk in circles. And I think one way I could prove is trying to work on our Senate rule book, because we basically don't use it this semester, and I think historically we haven't. It's like buried somewhere. So I want to work on rewriting that and actually using those during our meetings so that we're more efficient and can address problems quicker and better.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Go for it.
Lila, she's very outgoing. She's the one that actually got me to be convinced to join the SGA. She is the friendliest person I ever met, honestly. I think she was a great image for VP because she was an amazing spokesperson for the student body, because she is very consistent and persistent with what she does and with the complaints of some of the students. And what I believe could be done differently this year is having bigger school-wide events like dances or carnivals, or having 49ers be slightly bigger than what it was, because I know in the past we definitely had a lot more school events and things to do besides the ones that we have now. And then on top of that, I would also like to find ways to get more funds for the clubs, because I know definitely with the budget being cut, that's not gonna affect any of the club budget, but we don't have enough in the club budget to benefit all clubs like that, how they would want to.
That is time. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I've also been asked, work for K-Tech? Apply. Oh my gosh, am I Digo, go. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, I absolutely 100% can. What did the current VP do well this year, and what would you improve upon?
Okay, so our current VP, Lila, she's the one who actually got me into the SGA as well. She was my RA freshman year in Torres, one of my RAs, and became really good friends with her. And I think that the fact that a lot of people came to the SGA through Lila really shows how personable she is and how she really can convince people that things are going to be fun and convince people to get into roles that they usually wouldn't. And I think that's really awesome, and I would love to continue encouraging people to grow our campus community more and become more active in the SGA, because I think it's really nice to have, like I said earlier, like that look behind the curtain on the campus. I think one thing that I would improve on is getting things done as they happen, because a lot of times we would be so concerned about a lot of issues at once and we'd try solving them all at once, and some of them would get lost. So I think just starting an issue, solving that issue, and then moving on to the next one will
That
benefit
is
me greatly.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I'm also being asked, thank you, K-Tech, for hosting. Again, very, very much appreciate this. If you would like to volunteer with or work for K-Tech, there is a link to please email the K-Tech email linked below. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. I have some wrapping up questions. If there are any more in the chat, highly encouraged now at this point. How do you plan to work with the reduced budget due to lower student enrollment? And that is going to be starting with Elijah on that one.
So with the student budget being shortened, or the club budget being cut like that, I definitely would want to, or an idea I had was seeking out the alumni of Tech and alumni who were also part of the SGA and seek out for donations if they are willing and hopefully wanting to donate to help provide more for what we can here at the school, because I know a lot of the students deserve more than some of the events that go on. They deserve a lot, just a lot more fun, kind of, if that makes sense. But without a lot of funding, we can't really do that. So definitely I would try to seek out for donations within the alumni of Tech.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Go ahead.
I think my biggest thing would be to plan ahead a lot. I know this year we saved a lot of money with reusing the theme for the we reused the dinosaur theme twice, so we were able to save a lot of money on decorations and things like that. And I think that can be seen as redundant to some people, but I think if we can really think ahead and come up with an idea that can encompass two separate themes, but we can buy decorations that will fit both themes, I think that will aid us a lot in just watching how we spend money very closely in little events and saving a lot of the money that we keep for clubs, because I think that even though the SGA runs a lot of events and does a lot of other cool things, I think our main purpose is to uplift the clubs here on campus. So I want to make sure that with our budget cuts, we make sure that the cuts affect us more than they affect the student body.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we are taking a budget cut of $30,000, I think was what it was, and then we're removing Pater, which I think was roughly $20,000. So we're still at a $10,000 deficit even with that. And so moving forward, we have a lot of maybe not a lot of, but we have resources we already have, and I think like Digo was saying, being able to reuse those and use them in creative ways is something that we can do a lot. And I think sometimes even our events we can take advantage of things such as our spaces. Like a lot of times you can make a good event on a pretty low budget with just a large area that you could hang out with and play music. I know we have those things, we can keep reusing them, and that way if we're keeping our events with the 10,000, we can focus on clubs and giving back to the students with the rest of our budget.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We have another one from the chat because everyone answered that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Awesome. Another question, starting with Digo on this one. Do you think the SGA website is functional as is, or are there improvements you would be interested in having a webmaster make?
Okay. I think the NMT website is functional as of now, just it might be a little confusing. I think there's a lot of different portals that lead to different things. Like there will be two things that say they lead to, for example, just Senate meeting notes. And one of them will lead to a very old link that doesn't work, and the other will lead to the actual current Senate meeting notes. So I think just going through and kind of painstakingly making sure that all of those hyperlinks lead to relevant pages would be really helpful.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, I've had this problem myself. I actually haven't been able to look at our website, or I'm not sure if I have, because I went looking for it, and I found one from 2022. I went to another page that I thought it was the right place, but then it just went to this little blurb the SGA is a student organization. And I think being able to make that more accessible so that people can find it easier, and then I think honestly I want to make it to where there's a lot more detailed information, because from what I've seen, it looks like bits and pieces of it. It seems pretty sparse, and like even our minutes and things are kind of like, they're not the most detailed. And I think having that detail will let our student body be able to like interact more with our government in a way that like they have an understanding of it.
Awesome. Thank you.
I know the website could be a little confusing as it is, and a proposal I was thinking is possibly creating like another link to our own website for the SGA, where there we can explain and be a little more clear with things, and also have the hyperlink back to the SGA website for New Mexico Tech itself. I also believe that we could try inputting these links within our social media and in other posters around the school, so people can actually have a straight connect to the website instead of having to dig through the NMT website to find where the SGA website is.
Hey, thank you so much. I also feel the need to mention, Ella would know exactly what to say here. There was something about the NMT website being redesigned sometime this spring semester, and so we were supposed to have a bunch of stuff done. And I'm not sure what's going on with that. I really don't know what's going on with any of that at all. Also, our webmaster, I think, works like 5 hours a week or less, which is just not a lot of time. I fully understand this question, but we're also working on that. And I thought that, I think things were supposed to happen from higher places that have not happened in the... I shouldn't say, anyways, next question. Spring Fling. We're going to start with Luke on this one. We are looking at Spring Fling used to be a much bigger event on campus. Is it a priority of yours to make it a larger event?
So this year, this was actually something that we talked about pretty extensively when Spring Fling came. We had talked about two ideas, which was whether we wanted smaller events spread out across a couple weeks or like one big weekend event, kind of like 49ers. And the consensus within our senators was that we'd prefer two small, more smaller events spread out over a longer time. And that's what we voted on. And so I think Spring Fling and those events I really liked. I really like the bigger events. I think they're more fun. But so I think I would try to prioritize having those bigger events like all at once rather than kind of spread out across a long time, especially because if I make one or two smaller events, it's like a 5-minute thing. But if I go to one of the bigger events, I spend like an hour having a lot of fun, and yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Go for it.
Could you repeat the question?
Yes. Spring Fling used to be a much bigger event on campus. Is it a priority of yours to make it a larger event?
I do believe Spring Fling should be a bigger event. I honestly, from what I've seen in the past for tech and the different events that we used to throw, I know a lot of people were into like the Monster Mash for Halloween and just all these other big ball type dance events with a lot of music, food, and a lot of socializing between people you may or may not know. I definitely do believe that it should be prioritized as a slightly bigger event than to some of the smaller events, because as it seems now, there's a comment that it will rather be prioritized for what we plan for events and stuff like that. I also would like to see where the student consensus is when it comes to events like that, because I would want to know what events they would see more of and not of.
Understood. Thank you so much. There's a lot going on in this document right now. There's a question.
I didn't get to answer that one.
I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm so bad about it. I have a tracker. I'm tracking all of it. Okay. You have the full minute. Thank you so much.
Can you repeat the question?
Of course I can. Oh, I just closed all my tabs.
I'm so sorry.
I've done this before. Spring Fling used to be a much bigger event on campus. Is it a priority of yours to make it a larger event?
Yeah, so I think that Spring Fling, I remember looking at a lot of Pater issues where we see that Spring Fling is huge and there's a lot of these recurring events, and I think that's the key to getting Spring Fling to be bigger is the recurring events, because as we keep going and we keep getting these budget cuts, because the budget cut this year isn't an odd happening, it's been happening for the last few years. So kind of just planning for the future, I think planning more events that are repeatable. Like Casino Night is a big example where it may have been a big purchase the first time we did it when we bought all the craps tables and all of those things. But when we're able to bring it back every year and have such a like repeatable process that we've all done before and we all enjoy, it makes everything run smoother while still being able to have high production quality within all of our events.
Awesome, thank you. And everyone got to answer that one. Yay. Thank you for stepping in. That's much needed and appreciated. Before I get into this next one, I'm going to solicit if there are any remaining chat questions. We're getting towards the end of my questioning here. Let me talk again. So if you like any more, put them in now. Be a great opportunity. With this one, I'm gonna give the candidates the option to answer this. Question is, does the SGA plan to do any fundraising? This is another thing that Ella would be able to like answer really eloquently that I don't necessarily have the resources in order to be able to do so. But the SGA, we're student funded, so we do have rules where we can't like charge admissions for things. We can't charge students. So if they wanted to get into fundraising, I mean, like we've talked a little bit about like soliciting alumni and stuff. So if there's anything you would like to get into about that, I'm not gonna like force you to answer that question though, because that's like tricky and we can't necessarily do everything that like maybe a club would be able to. So would you like to answer the question?
I have an answer as well.
Okay. First person who gets to is Elijah, if you want to.
Like I had said, I definitely would like to go seek out the alumni for donations because I know we're not allowed to charge the students for anything. And it definitely, I believe that we could use a higher budget for things because it will make these events a lot more enjoyable for students and then also allow us to have a lot more leeway when it comes to making decisions for certain bills and aspects when it comes to using funding. That's mostly all I had thought of for when it comes to raising outside sources of money.
Awesome, thank you.
I think a big role that I could take part in is just making sure that campus is agreeable and that we have a higher retention rate because that'll help the budget go up as we go further. But I also think, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? I just lost my train of thought completely.
Yeah, of course. Does the SGA plan to do any fundraising?
Okay, so yeah, that's where I was going. So I think that even though we could ask students for money off of campus, I know we're not allowed to charge for events, but even just asking them for money, I think that would be wrong because, like I had said earlier, our biggest purpose is to serve the students, and I think asking them to pay for that service is kind of a big ask. I think the alumni is a good idea, but I also think just making tech more enjoyable through the experiences here and making those more public through our Instagrams and things like that will get more people to come so that we can do bigger events as we go forward.
Awesome, thank you.
Right. This is I'm really excited about this question. This is something I actually brought up to Aurelia earlier this semester about fundraising and can we fundraise. So there's a lot of bars on that, and so I had two things I was thinking of, and again, there's a lot of complications with these, so I'm not 100% sure how much we're able to do. But one thing is I wanted to see about how the SGA can help clubs set up their own fundraisers so they can support themselves a lot. And how can we help advertise that? And that's through things like K-Tech, or even like we can let our senators go volunteer at these things to like at these fundraisers and to get volunteer points. And then the second thing was sorry, I lost my train of thought.
You're good.
Yeah, I think I'm out of time, right?
No, I'm sorry. That was a thumbs up they sent me.
Sorry.
You have like 10 seconds if you want to.
Okay. Yeah, I think I can. One thing is like kind of like optional little like donation things. They have this thing like for events and things where you can like help like a little tip jar almost.
That is time. Thank you so much. For thank you so much. So we're not seeing anything in the chat anymore. I think chat is done. So we're just gonna do closing remarks. You have a minute. Talk, probably state your name again. Just whatever you think is most important. Closing remarks. We're gonna start with Digo on this one.
Okay. So once again, I am Digo Duran, and the thing that I would like to focus on most if I'm chosen to be vice president is acting as a bridge between staff and students to make sure that school processes are being run fairly and nicely, and to make sure that the student experience is enjoyable around campus.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm Luca Alderete. I think the two things I really want to focus on is accessibility of student government to the students, because we are meant to represent the students. We're meant to serve you. And then the second one is ensuring or rewriting our Senate Senate rules so that we have more efficient meetings and are just doing things way more efficiently and above the board. And you want the best, and my mom says I'm the best. So
Thank you. And go for it.
I'm Elijah Rivera, and the main things I would really focus on if I were VP would be the connectivity and confidence that the students have within the SGA, because I know that's definitely been an issue within the past few years, and I definitely would rather have everything just be much more clear within everyone, so there wouldn't be so much hostility with that stuff. I would also like to focus more on being someone that people could be comfortable with to come talk with and explain their concerns or just like comments, anything that they have in their mind, because I feel like that's a very very important thing to have as a VP, so you are able to build a deeper connection within everyone and be able to fight for those causes because you now know who the person is and you want to fight harder for them.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And with that, that is going to conclude our vice presidential debate, which is also going to conclude the entire debate. Thank you so much to K-Tech for hosting this and getting us all set up. Thank you to our candidates who are all here. Thank you to everyone who sent questions and is watching. Love to see involvement. It's like really, really exciting whenever it's like these are really good questions. Just as a quick reminder, I'm going to be sending out the election really, really shortly here. Expect an email from me very soon. Different from last year, you cannot change your vote once it's submitted on Tech Connect. It's going to be there permanently forever. And then, once again, nobody's going to be able to see who you voted for except for me, but I'm not going to look. I'm going to be the first person to vote so that only my name pops up whenever I open the form. So I'm not going to be, it's not my business, but we have technological limitations where I can't make an anonymous and also a single submission. But yeah, no candidates are going to know who you voted for. It's all privately yours. And with that, thank you so, so much. Are there any other remaining announcements in the room? I think we're good. Thank you so much, everyone. You guys get to vote. Yeah.